influence and striking while the saber is hot. That's right, it's Star Wars Rivals from Funko Games. In this two-player tussle of wills, each player takes the role of one side, either the dark or light side of the Force. Through a series of rounds, they'll deploy characters and gain points by securing locations and completing missions. The player with the most points at the end wins the game. Setup begins with character selection. Each player selects any 3 characters matching their side and takes the matching movers and cards. If you have less than 3 character movers, use a character token as the third option. Each player shuffles the action cards for their characters to create a personal draw deck. They place it face down nearby and draw 3 cards to form their starting hand. Action cards have a card name, character name, action, mission, and mission point value. More on all this shortly. Next, shuffle the location cards. If you have more than 12 location cards in your collection, each player selects 6 to shuffle into the deck. Place it face down in the center of the play area between the players. Reveal 3 cards in a row and place a location marker next to each. Finally, create a supply of influence loss tokens nearby, along with the die. Select a player to go first. They'll take the high ground marker because they've got the high ground. Get it? Anakin didn't get it. And we know how that turned out. Gameplay occurs in rounds, not squares. Sorry, that's the dumbest joke. Each divided into 4 steps. Deploy characters, roll the die, play an action card, and score locations rolled. First up, in the deploy character step, starting with the player with the higher ground, players take turns deploying characters, one at a time, to one of the locations in play. Multiple characters may be placed at the same location and will come under the effects of the location when deployed there. Location cards have a name and art, point value, and effect. When deploying, the active player may instead place a character in the back to tank. Place that character to the side for now. They won't participate in the deployment this round. More on all this shortly. Next, in the roll the die step, the player with the high ground marker, you guessed it, they roll the die. The result shows which of the locations will score this round. A result with this symbol means players will score the location or locations with the highest point value. Then, in the play an action card step, each player chooses one action card from their hand to play, setting it face down in front of them. Once both players have chosen, the player with the high ground marker reveals their card and takes its action. The other player then does the same. Actions might move characters between locations, apply influence loss tokens, and more. Finally, in the score locations rolled step, players will compare the total influence for each side at each location that was rolled in the roll the die step. The side with higher influence total places the location card in their score pile. In the case of a tie, the player with the high ground wins the location. Once all steps are complete, end the round by replacing any scored locations with new ones from the deck. Remove all influence loss tokens from characters in the back to tank because it heals them, just like in the movie. Return characters back to their side. Place action cards played in a personal discard pile. Then players draw back up to a hand limit of 3 cards. If a deck runs out, the player shuffles their discard to form a new draw deck. And finally, pass the high ground marker to the opposing player. One other important mechanic of the game, missions. At any time, if a card has a mission's conditions fulfilled, the player may add it to their score pile, which will be worth points equal to the mission point value at the end of the game. Rounds continue with players deploying characters and fighting for locations. When the location deck is depleted, skip the roll the die step that turn and score all remaining locations. Once the last location is scored, the game is over, and players total their points from location cards and missions accomplished. The player with the most points wins, and now you rule the galaxy. And that's the basics of Star Wars Rivals. I'm Paula Deming. This is Good Time Society, and you are awesome. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and come on back for more great games and good times. See ya!